never knew how much I loved my left foot, until the doctor told me he had to cut it off. "Gary," he muttered, staring at a hole in the tile over my shoulder instead of looking me in the eye, "we're going to have to amputate, and we're going to have to do it soon." His words hit me like a sledgehammer to the side of the head. I felt nauseous, dizzy, angry. I saw Dr. Meter's lips moving, spitting out medical jargon saying how far my diabetes had progressed, but all I could hear was the high-pitched buzz of a surgical saw, and all I could smell was metal on bone. I knew if I opened my mouth, I'd scream or cry or try to make some stupid joke or bitch out this doctor young enough to be my kid. So I didn't say a damn word. I slid off the table and felt agony shoot up my leg. I grabbed the cane I hated. It was like a shiny neon sign telling the whole world that I was sick, that I was broken, that something was wrong with me. As I limped past the front desk to the elevator, I felt embarrassed, ashamed, and most of all, angry, furious, because it was all my fault. My beautiful wife and daughter had begged me to take better care of myself for years, and I knew they were right, but I just felt hopeless, paralyzed, stuck in my ways. After 58 years of doing things my way, I felt like an old dog suddenly being asked to do backflips. I mean, I knew I shouldn't eat candy, that the sugar was poison for a diabetic, but I guess I was an addict, because I still kept a secret stash of peanut M&Ms stuffed in a drawer in my desk at work where my wife couldn't find them. And I felt a tingle from my head to my toes every time I shoved a handful into my mouth. I knew I was supposed to get off my butt and exercise, but the couple of times I went to the gym, I could feel the muscle heads and the supermodel wannabes laughing at the clumsy, sweaty, fat old guy who couldn't even do a single push-up. I listened to the throbbing pain in my leg, and I felt like a failure, as a husband, as a father, as a man. And I felt something else, too. Terrible, nauseating fear. I mean, I thought I lived life the right way. I put on my suit every day, went to the office, sold insurance, and did pretty well. Even had something left after those bastards on Wall Street crashed the market. I stayed married to the same absolutely gorgeous woman for 33 years. We raised an amazingly beautiful girl. I guess, like a lot of guys, I felt like I was invulnerable, immortal, and now I was going to lose my foot, my dignity, and who knows what else to this disease. And no matter how much I tried to lie to myself, I knew it was all my own damn fault. Suddenly I got a text from my daughter Lindsay. It was a picture of her beautiful face holding up a midnight blue tuxedo. The tuxedo I was supposed to walk her down the aisle in. I knew Sam was the right guy for my little girl the first time I met him. He shook my hand like a man, and I could see in his eyes every time he looked at her just how much he adored my Lindsay. He even asked my permission before he proposed. I said yes right away, gave him a hug, poured some bourbon, and started thinking about grandkids. Sitting there in my truck, I counted it out. I realized the wedding was 11.5 weeks away, and then something in me just snapped. I pounded the steering wheel, screamed and cursed, begged God, and then I bawled my eyes out like I hadn't since my mom's funeral. I'd been dreaming of walking Lindsay down the aisle and giving her away to a man who would treasure her since she was 5 years old. For a terrible moment, I imagined the wedding day, sitting in a wheelchair with the left pant leg of my midnight blue tuxedo pinned up underneath my stump. The music starts. I have to look up into my daughter's eyes and hold her hand while my brother pushes me down the aisle. My stomach ties itself in a knot. I can't let this happen. I can't let my little girl down. But I had no idea what I was going to do. Suddenly, as I was driving home, a suicidal deer jumped in front of my truck. I slammed on my brakes and screeched to a stop just inches from the 12-point buck and stared at it until it crossed the road. In that dark moment, as I sat in the middle of the street, heart pounding, I knew I was at a crossroads, a major turning point in my life. And I figured I only had a couple of options to choose from. Option 1, I could accept my doctor's advice, schedule the surgery, become a handicapped person, reminded every damn day of my own weakness and failure. Option 2, I could stop feeling so powerless and take control. I could try to get to the bottom of this diabetes thing and escape this hellhole once and for all. I could stop mindlessly popping pills and find out the truth about this diabetes thing I tried to ignore for so long. And maybe, just maybe, live a life where I could be a husband, a dad, and hopefully a grandfather. And that's when I made a decision that changed my life and the lives of thousands of other diabetes sufferers forever.